Sir, can I have the leftovers from your meal? The voice was so small it almost drowned in the clatter of plates and city noise. Yet something in its trembling honesty made every sound on the terrace fade. At a table outside the Plaza Hotel, Alexander Grant, one of New York's most recognized financiers, looked up from his untouched steak. A little girl, maybe 6 or 7, stood a few feet away. Her coat was too thin for November, her shoes mismatched, and her dark hair framed a face far too serious for its age. She wasn't begging the way he'd seen before. She was standing still polite, her brown eyes locked on his plate. "Please, sir," she said again. "I'm really hungry." That single line could make anyone's chest tighten. It's the kind of moment that asks, what would you do if it were you sitting there? Would you keep eating or would you look closer? Alexander pushed the plate toward her, expecting her to grab the food and eat right there. Instead, the girl opened a small worn backpack and pulled out a clean plastic container. Carefully, almost reverently, she spooned the food into it piece by piece, as if saving something sacred. "You can eat here if you want," Alexander offered, curious now. She shook her head. "Not yet," she whispered. Those 2 words hit him harder than any business loss he'd ever suffered. Not yet. They carried the weight of responsibility no child should bear. Before he could ask anything more, she zipped her bag, whispered a shy thank you, and ran. Something about her calm urgency pulled him out of his chair. He tossed a few bills on the table and followed, not even realizing why. Maybe guilt, maybe instinct, but mostly something deeper, something human he hadn't felt in years. The girl weaved through the crowd with surprising speed, her small figure darting past yellow cabs and the glow of Fifth Avenue storefronts. Alexander's leather shoes slapped against the pavement as he tried to keep up. The chill of the evening bit through his coat, but he didn't slow down. She turned the corner at 59th Street and disappeared into the subway entrance. He followed, his breath ragged, now heart pounding in rhythm with the echo of trains below. At the bottom of the stairs, he spotted her crouched near a dark corner beside a maintenance vent, blowing warm air. The scene froze him. Lying on the ground, wrapped in a threadbare blanket, was another child, a girl, maybe 3, motionless, except for the shallow rise and fall of her chest. "Lulu," the older girl whispered, shaking her gently. "I brought you food, sea chicken and potatoes." But the little one didn't move. Her lips were pale, her breathing faint. Alexander's stomach dropped. He knelt beside them, his expensive coat brushing the grime of the floor. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm Alexander. Is she okay?" The girl looked up, fear flashing across her face. "She's just tired," she said, though her trembling hands told the truth. Alexander touched the smaller girl's wrist. It was icy cold. Her pulse was weak. He shrugged off his coat and wrapped it around her, trying to trap some warmth. His voice steadied in that automatic way people's do when adrenaline takes over. He pulled out his phone. 911, he said, forcing calm into his tone. "There's a child unresponsive, but breathing. Subway entrance, 59th and 5th. The dispatcher asked for details, color of lips, breathing rate, temperature. Alexander answered mechanically, never taking his eyes off the girl. The older sister, still clutching her backpack, watched him as though trying to decide whether to trust him. "What's her name?" he asked gently. "Lulu June," she murmured. "She's my sister. She gets sick when we don't have enough food." The words cracked something open inside him. He'd spent decades counting profits, not pulses. Tonight, profit didn't matter. Only this little life in front of him did. Sirens wailed in the distance. The older girl's eyes darted toward the noise. "They'll take us away, won't they?" Alexander met her gaze. "They'll help your sister," he said quietly. "And I'll go with you. People always say that," she whispered. "Then they leave." He swallowed. Not this time. The ambulance screeched to a stop above them. 2 EMTs rushed down the stairs. "We've got her," one said, taking over with practiced speed. "Are you the father?" Alexander hesitated. "No," he said, finally, voice low. "But I'm staying." The medics lifted Lulu onto a stretcher, covering her in a thermal blanket. Her small fingers twitched once, a fragile sign of life. The sister's face softened just a little, as if hope had stepped back into the world. "Come with us," the EMT said. Alexander climbed into the ambulance beside the girls. The older one, he learned her name, was Ivy, sat with her backpack clutched to her chest. Inside the container of leftovers was still warm, a strange echo of kindness that had led to this moment. As the siren blared through Manhattan streets, Ivy's voice trembled. "She'll get better, right?" Alexander looked at the monitor at the tiny heartbeat blinking on the screen. "We're going to make sure she does," he said. In that moment, surrounded by flashing lights and the hum of machinery, he realized something he hadn't felt in decades: fear, hope, and a kind of love that doesn't ask for permission. Sometimes it only takes one question from a stranger to change everything. What would you have done if a child had asked you that question? Would you have looked away or followed her? Because what Alexander finds next will shake him to his core. Stay tuned. The story is just beginning. The hallway at Mount Sinai pulsed with fluorescent light and the steady rhythm of monitors that marked the fragile line between life and loss. Alexander Grant sat outside the pediatric trauma unit, his elbows resting on his knees, his $3,000 suit crumpled in a way that would have once horrified him. Now he didn't care. Across the glass he could see Ivy sitting motionless beside a gurney, her little sister swaddled in tubes and warm blankets. Lulu's chest rose in shallow waves, the oxygen mask fogging slightly with every breath. A doctor in blue scrubs approached. She was small, sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who had seen too many things and learned to speak softly because loud words break people. "Mr. Grant." He nodded, though the title felt strange in this corridor. "I'm Dr. Patel, Lulu's stable for now. Severe dehydration, hypoglycemia, mild hypothermia. We're running tests for infection, but the main issue is malnutrition." Alexander blinked. "You mean she's starving, Doctor?" Patel hesitated. "Yes." Her body started shutting down to conserve energy. Another few hours, and she didn't finish. She didn't have to. Behind the glass, Ivy leaned forward and whispered something to her sister's hand, as though her voice alone could anchor Lulu to the world. "Can I take her home when she wakes up?" Ivy asked suddenly, her voice muffled through the door. Dr. Patel glanced at Alexander. He rose and stepped inside. The room smelled of antiseptic